Piper Long could hear the first whistle of the day before she even cleared the pop-up gate that ringed Grand Meadows competition field. Dogs of every size yipped from travel crates, competitors fussed with leashes, and a high spring sun painted everything the colour of new pennies. It was Saturday, the opening round of the annual Grand Meadow Dog Agility Show, a weekend Piper trained for all year with her border collie, Juno. They had driven from Sutter Falls before dawn, singing off-key to the radio, while Piper rehearsed the course map in her head. A triple jump, an A-frame, weave poles, tunnel, table, and in lane 3, the show's signature bright red tire obstacle, suspended by thick hemp rope from a metal frame. Judge Everett Crane had insisted on the rope, authentic, rustic, photogenic, but it was famous for fraying and had scared more than one novice dog into a balk. "Looks sturdy enough," Piper muttered now, though her words dissolved in Juno's impatient bark. They queued at check-in, accepted a zipper bag stuffed with liver treats, and had just waved to Lucas Dwyer, Piper's sometimes friend, sometimes rival, when organizer Mabel Finch jogged by. "Piper, can you spare a minute?" Mabel's straw hat jostled, and worry pinched the thin corners of her mouth. "Judge Crane hasn't signed in. Ever seen him?" Piper lifted a shoulder. "He was setting things up at 6 when I walked the course. Maybe he ran into traffic." "Traffic at dawn?" Mabel grimaced. "He has the start lists, the timing tablets, everything." She pivoted toward 2 teenage volunteers. "Sadie, Brad, keep moving the handlers to warm up. We start in 30, with or without him." They wouldn't, Piper thought. The Grand Meadow Show ran like a Swiss watch because Everett Crane was a stickler. No dog on the line without the judge's whistle. She clipped Juno to the practice lead and headed across the grass toward lane 3, deciding one last inspection of the obstacles would soothe her nerves. She passed the tunnel, tripped over a squeaky plush bone someone had dropped, and turned the corner. The tire hung in silhouette against the rising sun, rocking gently in a way Piper first mistook for wind. Then she saw the shoes, black trial shoes, toes pointed toward a dew-rich turf. Suspended above the tire's rim dangled Judge Everett Crane, a braided noose cinched around his neck, and the crossbar that held the obstacle. His clipboard clattered from limp fingers and thudded to the ground. For one stunned second, Piper couldn't move. Juno barked, pawed Piper's calf, and the shock cracked. She sprinted forward, adrenaline drowning reason. The judge's face was mottled, eyes half-lidded, pulse absent when Piper pressed trembling fingers to the side of his throat. The knot about the crossbar looked complicated, a sailor's bend married to a slipknot. Whoever tied it knew rope. "Medic!" she screamed, voice skidding across the meadow. "Someone call 911." Pandemonium followed. Dogs howled, people swarmed, and sirens erupted in the distance minutes later. By the time paramedics pronounced Everett Crane dead, Mabel was sobbing into Lucas Dwyer's shoulder, and the Grand Meadow Show had dissolved into a crime scene. The sheriff's department sealed the field with yellow tape. Most competitors packed crates and beat a retreat to motels or campers, but Piper stayed, arms folded over Juno's ruff, while Detective Serena Cho interviewed witnesses beneath the poplar trees. Piper replayed the discovery again and again. The cool knot, the slight sway, the clipboard. Detective Cho approached. "Ms. Long, thank you for waiting. You found the body?" Piper nodded. "At about 7:10. I was alone. Notice anyone near the lane? There was only the judge when I did the course walk, no one else." Cho flipped a notebook. "Did you touch anything?" "I tried to check his pulse. Nothing else. Piper hesitated. Detective, the knot around the crossbar. It's not something a person ties around their own neck and then hoists themselves by. Cho's expression suggested the thought had occurred already, but she wrote it down. Did Judge Crane have enemies? Mabel might know. Everett was, well, particular. If you messed up a timing gate, he'd put you on blast, knots included. Mabel Finch said he argued last night with a trainer, Lucas Dwyer. Piper's brows rose. Lucas griped plenty, though murder seemed large even for his ego. What about Hank Rowan, the groundskeeper? He rigged the obstacles. He knows rope better than I do. We'll talk to everyone, Cho said, then gently guided Piper toward the gate. Go rest. Don't leave town. Rest was impossible. Piper drove her van to the edge of the parking lot, popped the side door, and let Juno curl beside her on the rubber mat. Rain clouds rolled east but never broke. Morning stretched into afternoon, and still Piper's brain tied itself in knots. Everett's death wasn't a random act. It was planned, staged, cruelly theatrical, and whoever did it understood the course intimately. By 2:00, Cho released the competitors' personal vehicles, though the field remained sealed. Piper decided she needed conversation that wasn't in her own head. She found Lucas hunched against a vending machine behind the pavilion, sipping lukewarm coffee. Detective Cho says you had a fight with Everett last night, Piper began. Lucas wiped a smudge from his silver rim glasses. If disagreement equals fight, sure. My healer timed a perfect run at last month's qualifier. Crane docked us 3 points for sloppy contacts. I told him he needed new bifocals. You threatened to string him up, too? Piper asked. Sympathy softened the barb. No, Lucas said quietly. And I wouldn't know a noose from a shoelace. He glanced both ways, lowered his voice. Look, Everett was auditing the event finances. Something about missing entry fees. He cornered Mabel yesterday. She went pale as goat's milk. Piper frowned. Embezzlement? That's big. Lucas shrugged. Bigger than a ribbon. Juno whined. Piper ruffled the collie's ears. Thanks, she said, mind already spinning. If Everett poked at money, that might buy a motive. Still, motive didn't braid rope. Sunday dawned grey. The meadow sat empty, except for patrol cars, and 2 RVs whose tired owners drank black coffee and considered packing for home. Piper, too, should have pointed the van toward Sutter Falls, yet some internal tug kept her. She had trained Juno to solve puzzles, open cabinet doors, fetch a ringing phone, differentiate scented cloths, and now a puzzle sat in Piper's own path. She couldn't heal away. She left Juno with a chew and headed toward the meadow again. A deputy nodded but waved her off the grass. Piper circled behind the equipment shed, a squat green building that smelled of oil and wet wood. She tugged open the unlocked door and stepped inside. Coils of spare rope hung on pegs. She recognized the brand Everett insisted on, 3/4-inch hemp, wax-coated, the same scratchy beige fibre that framed the tire obstacle. Most coils were untouched, but one peg sat empty. Piper lifted a loose fibre from the platform. Salt, tar, and faint vanilla scent from the wax. She pocketed it, then dug deeper. A small tool chest lay open under the workbench. On top rested knotted practice samples, square, bowline, sheet bend, ends taped off. Beneath them, a receipt, St. Martin Marine Supply, 32 feet hemp rope, H. Rowan, dated 2 weeks ago. Interesting. Footsteps scraped outside. Piper eased the paper back, closed the box, and ducked through the back exit before whoever arrived noticed. Breaking and entering now. Detective Cho's voice cut crisp as frost behind her. Piper froze halfway around the shed corner. The detective's gaze dropped to the fibre in Piper's fist. "This place wasn't locked," Piper said. "I was looking for clues." "That's my job." "I'm a trainer," Piper answered. "Problem solving is mine. Humour me. Hank Rowan bought 32 feet of identical rope 2 weeks ago. Why? The tyre only needed 4 for replacement." Cho's brow furrowed. "We already interviewed Mr. Rowan. He used spare rope to repair the ring swing in Town Park." "Did you verify that?" Cho pursed her lips. "Not yet." "Please do," Piper urged, "and check Mabel's books." Cho studied Piper a moment longer. "I will if you go home." Piper crossed her heart. "After dinner." Dinner found her at the Lucky Leash, a tavern just off Highway 18, where dog photos covered the walls and bowls of ice water slid to canine customers. She selected a booth, ordered soup, and scanned the room. Hank Rowan nursed a beer alone at the bar, shoulders slumped in fatigue. Piper hesitated, then approached. "Rough weekend," she offered. Hank, mid-60s, wiry as baling wire, grunted assent. "You tie the obstacles?" Piper asked. "Nobody else will," Hank said, voice sandpaper low. "Crane would inspect every knot, run his finger round like a wedding ring. Annoyed me, but kept dogs safe." "Detective Cho says you bought rope for the Town Park swing." Hank's hazel eyes narrowed. "Yep." "Did you finish the job?" "Wednesday. Kids already queuing." He drained his glass. "You think I hung Everett?" "I think someone who knows rope did." Piper paused. "You were Navy, right? I saw the frogman tattoo." Hank's gaze softened. 18 years. "And yeah, I know rope, which is why that knot wasn't mine." He fished a scrap of paper from his wallet and sketched quickly. A hybrid knot, double-turn slip finished with a surgeon's bend. "Takes 2 motions, cinches tighter when weight pulls. Not easy one-handed." He flipped the paper to Piper. "Whoever tied that wanted the judge good and dead." Piper ran a fingertip across the drawing. "A knot like that needed planning, and probably practice." Juno, restless in the van, pushed her muzzle under Piper's elbow when she returned. Piper scratched the collie's head and thought aloud. "Let's list, girl. Motive, money, Mabel, revenge, Lucas, anger over safety issues, maybe Hank, but he says no. Opportunity, access to obstacles before sunrise. That includes all 3. Skill with rope, Hank, yes. Lucas? Don't know. Mabel? Doubt it." Juno sneezed, as if skeptical. Piper smiled, then frowned. "What about the teen volunteer, Sadie Mills?" Girl Scouts drilled knots. She had field access early, too. But why? Piper drifted back to the empty field Monday morning. Deputies were gone. Yellow tape fluttered lonely. The agility equipment sat like abandoned carnival rides. Piper stepped through the gate, Juno at heel, and walked the silent course. She halted at the tyre. Fresh caution tape wound around the frame, but the rope noose had been removed, leaving only frayed fibres on the bar. Piper crouched. Something gleamed in grass, a brass split ring, the kind used on keychains. She pocketed it, then checked the clipboard Detective Cho had bagged Friday, likely at the station now. But maybe copies lingered. She remembered Everett's habit. He carried carbonless duplicate sheets and tore off one for his records each evening, leaving originals on a desk. Where did he keep them during events? Piper pictured him earlier that dawn, stuffing papers into the pocket of his waxed canvas vest. Where had it gone? When paramedics cut him down, Piper hadn't noticed garments besides the polo and windbreaker. If the vest was missing, Maybe the murderer took it. She phoned Detective Cho. "I'm listening," Cho said, sounding tired. "Check for a missing green vest. Everett kept paperwork inside. A ledger, maybe." Piper described the split ring. "It's from a zipper pull. Might be from the vest." Cho exhaled. "We found no vest on scene. Good catch. We'll canvass." "Start with Mabel," Piper suggested. "She had access to his trailer." Cho must have acted fast. Tuesday at noon she called Piper to the station. Mabel Finch sat in interrogation behind a glass wall, mascara smeared. "We recovered Everett Crane's vest in a dumpster behind the fairground office," Cho said. "Mabel's fingerprints on the zipper pull match the ring you found." "Arrest her?" "Not yet. She claims she panicked after finding the judge hanging and tried to hide the ledger because it recorded accounting errors she feared would ruin the show. Poor judgment, not murder, she says. Says she didn't know knots." Piper folded arms. "And the accounting errors?" 5,000 unaccounted for, Cho said flatly. Piper stared at the window where Mabel sniffled into tissues. If she found him, why not call 911? "Exactly," Cho said. "We need more." Piper considered. "Let me talk to her." Cho hesitated. "Officially, no, but she asked for you. 5 minutes." Inside the small room, Mabel looked smaller without her straw hat. "I didn't kill him," Mabel whispered before Piper sat. "I swear." "Then help me help you," Piper said. "Tell everything." Mabel twisted fingers. "Entry fees were routed through my office. Everett audited, found the gap. He confronted me Friday night. Said he'd suspend the show unless I produced receipts by morning. Why hide the vest? I was scared. I went early Saturday, maybe 6:15, to plead before handlers arrived. Everett wasn't at his trailer, so I walked to the course. And there he was, hanging." Tears welled. "I touched the vest checking pockets for a phone. Then I heard voices. Yours, maybe. I panicked. I yanked the ledger, stuffed the vest under my jacket, ran." "Mabel, did you see anyone else?" She hesitated. "I passed Hank Rowan near the loading dock. He was hauling a spool of rope on a dolly." Piper's pulse quickened. "Hank said he repaired the park swing Wednesday. But why move rope Saturday dawn?" "And knots?" Piper asked. "I can barely tie my shoes." Mabel tried a pathetic laugh. "My late husband handled sales on our catboat. He taught Lucas, though, years ago. Lucas crewed one summer. Said the kid caught on quick." Piper stilled. "Lucas?" She pictured him adjusting glasses, throat lined with tension. He had motive, anger, competition. Did he have rope skill after all? Detective Cho had the same thought, but no warrant. Piper exited the station, brain sizzling. An idea struck. She called Lucas. "Police returning personal crates. A few were damaged when they cleared the field. Yours too. Meet me at the storage barn?" He agreed, grumbling. Piper arrived early, hung a sign, "Crates here," on the door, and positioned herself inside with Juno. From the rafters dangled a segment of spare rope, looped loosely at waist height like an unfinished knot practice. 10 minutes later, Lucas stepped in, eyes searching. "Over here," Piper said, waving. "Crates against the wall. Corner split. Needs rope to secure it. Could you tie a quick lash so the sides don't fall?" Lucas squinted at the rope. "You want a clove hitch or figure 8? Whatever holds." He shrugged, lifted the rope, and in smooth, fluid motion fashioned a snug double-throw slipknot, the same hybrid Hank had sketched, the same imprint Piper remembered on the tire noose. Muscles tensed in her neck. "Nice," she said lightly. "Where'd you learn that?" Lucas glanced up. "Sailing. Mabel's husband taught me." He cinched the knot. wiped palms on jeans. We done? Almost. Piper stepped back, phone raised. Flash. The camera captured Lucas tying fresh rope onto the crate. "Hey," Lucas protested. "Evidence," Piper said. "Detective Cho will appreciate." Lucas's face paled, then hardened. "You have no idea what you're doing." "Actually, I do. Everett found your healer doped at the qualifier last month. You bribed a local vet to dose dogs for sedation. When Everett threatened to expose you and strip titles, you throttled him." Lucas's eyes darted to the door, survival war flickering. Piper continued, low and even. "You arrived early Saturday, told him you'd fix the rope on the tire he obsessed over. You climbed the frame with a spool, forced him up, looped the noose, pushed. Quick, quiet, cruel. Then you pocketed his start list to erase your own name. But the whistle blew. The day started. You stashed the vest in the equipment shed, planning to burn it later. Mabel beat you, took it first." Lucas's jaw clenched. "Prove it." "I have your knot," Piper said. "I have video. Detective Cho's waiting outside." She whistled. The barn door swung and Cho entered, gun low, deputies behind. Lucas ran 3 steps, but Juno intercepted, herding technique flawless. A nip at heel, a bark, a pivot that turned Lucas straight into cuffs. 2 weeks later, Piper sat on her farmhouse porch, newspaper on lap, Juno sprawled across her feet. The headline read, "Agility Trainer Pleads Guilty in Meadow Slaying." Lucas had cracked quickly. Evidence, a vial of sedative, the ledger page naming his dog's illicit meds, sealed the case. Mabel was cleared, though she still faced an audit. Hank returned to mending swings. Detective Cho sent Piper a thank you bouquet shaped like a rope coil. Piper smiled at that. She folded the paper, tossed Juno a treat. Case closed, knots untied. Juno barked assent, tail sweeping, and the sun dipped over rolling pasture where new grass shimmered, green as the meadow, but untainted now, ready for next season's show.